Who's Irina? Okay. Does Irina know English? She doesn't know how to use a microphone either. Okay, so first of all, I give pranams to our Gurudev, Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Dasai Maharaj. All devotees, Dandavat pranams. So we'll hear something from 7th chapter, Vigyan Yoga. Vigyan means realization. So the first 6 chapters deal with karma. Which type of karma? Niskam Karma Yoga. Niskam Karma Yoga is when the results of one's activities are offered to Bhagavan. Right? Yoga means to join. So when our ordinary everyday activities are offered to Bhagavan, only for his satisfaction, that is called Niskam Karma Yoga. But still some defect is there in that. In the sense, one is still offering what one, I like to do this and I am offering this to Krishna. And Sudha Bhakti is, I am doing what Krishna wants and I am offering that to Krishna. Right? So Niskam Karma Yoga, still some false identity is there, some false ego, some own desire, separate desire. But by offering that to Bhagavan, we'll become purified. Okay, Brajeshri? Okay. So by offering the results of one's actions to Krishna, then one becomes purified of desire. Okay. When one is purified, then transcendental knowledge automatically awakens in the heart. And Krishna had explained in the end of the 6th chapter that perfection of knowledge is devotion to Krishna. So already Bhagavad Gita has many, many levels of instruction. For example, 2nd chapter contains ordinary instructions, samanya gyan, ordinary instructions. Don't eat too much, don't sleep too much, right? This type of instruction. Become free from lust and greed. These are general instructions for everyone. Then in 2nd chapter, there is Atma Gyan, knowledge of the difference between the soul and the body. So after that is Brahma Gyan, then knowledge of Paramatma, and finally there is Sudha Gyan or Bhakti. So step by step. Okay. So Krishna said, I will speak to you even more confidential knowledge, Arjuna. One who knows this knowledge, he knows everything. So this 7th chapter is the beginning of the 6 chapters dealing with bhakti, with devotion. So manusyanam sahasresu kaschit itati sidaye yatanam apisidanam kaschit matveti tattvataha. Among thousands of persons, one may endeavor for perfection. And even out of thousands of such perfect persons, only one person may know my Sarup. This is the nature of devotion, very rare. Sometimes we wonder, this Krishna consciousness has been preached everywhere, even in the Western countries for 50 years. So many millions of books are given out. Why very few people adopt the process of devotion? Because that is the nature of devotion. Right? Especially Bhav Bhakti, pure devotion. One of the 2 qualities of Bhav Bhakti is Sudurlabha, rarely attained. It's so rare. You see in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, there all the scriptures have personified forms. We are personalists. We believe behind everything is a person. Previously, all religions had this understanding before the appearance of the Judeo-Christian Islamic religion. The ocean was a person. The sun god was a person. The ocean was a person. The earth, Prithvi, she also a person. All the rivers have personified presiding deities or personalities like the Ganga, like the Yamuna. The soul is also an individual person, and the Supreme Soul is also an individual person. So the scriptures are also persons. The personified Vedas, you can see their prayers in the 10th canto. They pray why we should try very hard for liberation when even the demons who hate Krishna achieve that. So instead of desiring liberation, we simply want to be embraced by the snake-like arms of Krishna in the same way that he embraced the Braja Gopis in Ras Leela. We want that same type of bhakti. So the Vedas are also persons. They prayed for the mood of the gopis. The Upanishads, the Puranas, these are all personalities also. So when Gopakumar, okay, people don't know, this is meant to be introductory class, but what can I do? Gopakumar went and attained the position of Lord Brahma. And what does Brahma do? Not like us watching YouTube videos. What does Brahma do? Surrounded by the personified scriptures, they have discussions on Tattva Siddhanta. So one soul had just achieved liberation. So all the scriptures were talking about that. You know, one soul on Earth planet just got liberation. No, I don't believe you. Yes, it's true. They were talking like. So what to speak of pure devotion? Out of many, many souls who even endeavors for liberation, very few. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained all this to Sanatana Goswami, Madhya Lila chapter 20. There are countless souls in this world. Who can count? In one glass of water, especially Indian water, how many microbes are there? All right? How many souls? In my mattress, how many dust mites? How many insects? No one can count. So practically speaking, the living entities are all pervading everywhere. Who can count how many in the ocean, in the sky, in the earth? Countless, countless, billions and billions and billions. But amongst all the souls, there are two types, moving and non-moving. Self-explanatory. So amongst the moving and non-moving, the moving also two types, human and non-human. Right? So many varieties, so many species of fish, so many four-legged animals, birds, right? Centipedes. And human being is very rare. How many humans on the planet? 7 billion. There's more souls in a glass of water, or probably even in a teaspoon of water, than there are human beings on the earth planet. So human form of life is very rare. Then Mahaprabhu explained, out of human form of life, there are two types, civilized and uncivilized. Amongst the civilized species, actually most people we think who wears a shirt and tie, he's civilized. But actually most people who wear shirt and tie are uncivilized. Civilized means they adopt some rules for society, for the development of the individual. Right? But very few people even care about that. Right? They eat anything, procreate with anything. If it feels good, do it. So they are uncivilized. So the civilized is two types. Civilized means who accepts these Vedic scriptures. They're called the Karmakandis. Actually, Saraswati Thakur said, who believes in God but does not believe in the Vedas, they are still atheists. Because the Vedas describe God. You don't believe in that, then how you believe in God? So amongst the human beings, there are two types, civilized and uncivilized. Civilized means who believe in the scriptures, the Vedic scriptures, and who follow that. They're called the karma khandis. Right? They believe some rules should be there for eating, for marriage, for society. So who follows that very nicely, very rare. And they are full of desire. So the karma khandis, two types. Those who follow religion just by mouth and those who actually follow. So those who follow two types, those with desire and those without desire. Those without desire, how rare. How many people we know who perform some spiritual activity without any desire, just as a sense of duty. So those who have no desire, two types. Those who want liberation and those who are already liberated. And those who are already liberated, two types. The devotee and the non-devotee. So, how many thousands of human beings who endeavor for perfection? It is rare for even one person to know me in truth. One person to achieve the platform of bhakti. So much rare. So, yes. Allah Akbar. Can you hear that in the background? Muslims shouting too much here. No? So, it is rare for even one to know me in tattva, in truth. Then Guru Maharaj said, that means very rare to find anyone who has actually realized Lord Narayan. But to find a devotee of Lord Ram is even more rare. And to find a devotee of Krishna in Sakiras, Dasiras, very rare. In Sakiras, more rare. In Vatsalyaras, more rare. And what to speak of Madhuraras, that is extremely rare. So Krishna explains. This is chapter 7, verse 4. Okay. Bhumi api analo vayu kamana buddhi evacha ahankara itiyam me bhina prakriti mastada. Okay, Radhika. Krishna says, my external energy, that is called Maya, has 8 divisions. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. These are like coverings, like an onion. If you take away all these coverings, what's left inside, that is the soul. So the process of bhakti is these 8 coverings are removed, just when it's purified, in one sense dissolved by the process of sadhan bhakti bhajan, by the process of devotion. These 8 coverings are destroyed, purified. Guru Maharaj give an example. If you take a tiny piece of gold, can everyone hear me? Radhika, can you hear me? If you take a tiny piece of gold and you cover it by rubbish, right? So much plastic plates, newspapers, cups, potato peels, and then you make a fire. When all that rubbish has been burnt and the ashes, and you blow away the ashes, what's remaining, Purushottam? The gold. So when all these 8 coverings, right, this material body made of the coverings of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. This is the gross body, like a peanut. Right? Peanut has the hard shell And inside it has the nut. Also, that nut is covered by a little papery shell. So in the same way, the soul is like the peanut covered by the subtle body of the mind, intelligence, and false ego, and the gross body made of the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So this is called Maya. But this mind, these elements cannot do anything without the soul. Right? This is a little bit Krishna speaking the philosophy of Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya means to count. Right? Sankhya and Bhakti, the same goal. Right? That is later in Bhagavad Gita. What is this creation? If you look, you will find 24 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Air means the breeze, but that breeze is resting in the sky. The sky means ether. Planets floating everywhere. What they're floating in the element of ether. So these are called Panch Mahabhut, the 5 gross elements. Then the 3 subtle elements: mind, intelligence, false ego, ahankar, and chitta. Chitta means material consciousness. What's 5 and 4, Purushottam? Keep count, all right? 5 and 4 is how many? You're the accountant. 9. Then we count the senses, the 5 Gyan Indriya: seeing, smelling, tasting, hearing, touch. How many now, Purushottam? 14.
14.
Then we have the Karmindriya. Karmindriya means by these senses I perform action. Right? They are, Karmindriya are speech and digestion, moving hand and legs, speech, hand and leg, speech, hand, leg, anus, and genital. Right? These are also senses. By these senses, we perform action. So how many now? Purushottam? 19, right?
Okay, was that 4 or that was 5? The last?
Yeah, 5.
5.
5 Karmindriya, senses of action, and 5 Gyanindriya, knowledge acquiring senses. So 5 and 5, 10, plus the 8 elements, 9, right? That's 19. Then we have, what else is left in the creation? There's the soul. Some say goodness, passion, ignorance. No, but all these things cannot do anything without the soul. Right? What's the difference between a live body and a dead body?
I think you only said 4, Maharaj, of the last one. You said arms, legs, genitals, and anus. That was it.
Give me a break. One I'm missing.
Well, what is the
Speech.
5th one?
He said speech.
No,
Speech, digestion, genital, rectum. I don't know. There's one more in there.
You said
Thank
hands, hand,
Oh.
leg, hand and leg.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So
and speech.
there's 5.
Okay. Yeah.
Moving hands, moving legs, speech and digestion, genital and rectum. Then sattva, rajatama, but everything cannot do anything without the soul. Right? Because all these elements have no desire. Without desire, nothing is accomplished. No? Like a dead body. All the senses are there: sight, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, everything is there, but no one's home. Right? No one to perceive. That's why a dead person has eyes, cannot see, has ears, but cannot hear, cannot do anything, because soul is missing. So soul also one element of in the creation, but the soul is not independent. Right? We have many desires but cannot fulfill. So who is controlling everything? We cannot say we are controlling, because we are controlled by time, by old age, by disease. We have many desires we cannot fulfill. So the soul is not independent. Therefore, the super soul is considered the 24th element. Okay, it's not an element, but language is problem. No? So this is called, Krishna said, this is all my external energy. Right? Of course, the soul and super soul, not external energy. But that other 22, they're the external energy. This is called apara prakriti, inferior material nature, inferior energy. Because they, just like a car cannot function without a driver, apara prakriti or material nature cannot function without the soul being there. Right? So by this knowledge, called Sankhya, means to count. Actually, I should do my counting again, right? Learn them all properly. One can kind of have also devotion by this understanding. Yeah? Prabhupada, so much when he began his preaching mission, he always preaching this. And when I first heard it, I remember it stunned me. This, because everyone's so much captured by the theory of Darwin, so much captured. Okay, who was I with? Lily Kishori. We went to Washington and we went to the what was that museum? Were you with us? In Washington D.C.
Yeah, I wasn't with you. I forget which museum it was. The Indian Museum?
No, the Indian Museum. That was great, but the other one, the famous one, has all like.
Smithsonian.
Is that it? The Smithsonian, but it's got all the fossils and the dinosaurs and the jellyfish and.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
natural history museum.
Natural Museum of Natural History.
Yeah.
So I went there and I was completely stunned because from top to bottom, they're just pushing this theory of Darwin. From top to bottom. No, this is the completely materialistic science where they believe consciousness comes from matter. Right? In the original primeval soup, somehow consciousness developed. Right? But the problem is that matter has no consciousness. Matter has no consciousness. If you look at the periodic table, how many elements are there? Lily Kishori? Purushottam, how many elements in the periodic table? What you're studying? Nothing.
Richard might know.
Just
Well,
look
there
on
he's discovering new ones around 100 and maybe 108 or 109, maybe.
Not at all. Okay, I was going to say 150. Anyway,
They create new ones, but they only will last for like a nanosecond.
yeah, that I just exist in theory. Okay, so we'll just round it off to 100 elements, right? But the problem is none of them have consciousness. So how can a combination of inert matter produce consciousness? It's impossible. There's no evidence. No one's ever done it. No. I tell this story sometimes. So when I first joined the devotees, I was hearing all this and it completely stunned me. And I was so amazed by Prabhupada's scientific preaching. It's so simple, right? Life comes from life. Life cannot come from matter. And actually matter comes from consciousness. Right? We believe this entire creation like the dream of God. So without consciousness, even matter has no existence. And then you start asking the questions, well, what's the origin of matter? All these questions Darwin has no answer to. So anyway, here Krishna describes all these things very nicely. Actually, I told this story a few times, but it was quite, one time I was on a bus and I sat next to a man and I said, what do you do? And we started talking. He had 2 degrees in medical science, 2 PhDs in medical science. And so when I heard that, I was intimidated. I thought, my God, this guy is like, that means he spent like 12 years in college, right? In university to get 2 PhDs. So I said, well, let me try anyway. So I said, oh, how amazing. 2 PhDs in medical science. Then you must be able to tell me where life comes from. His mouth almost dropped on the floor. He looked at me like He couldn't answer, like a stunned mullet. He could not answer where life comes from. So anyway, life is a symptom of the soul, because matter has no desire. So thinking, feeling, and willing comes from where? Without the soul, a dead body has no thinking, feeling, willing. Matter has no thinking, feeling, willing. That is the difference between me and this bed that I'm sitting on. We have all these desires, we have thoughts, we have life, we have consciousness, raison d'être, reason to be, self-perception. We are different from matter because we can be conscious of it. Matter cannot be conscious of itself. Anyway, when I first became a devotee and read all these things, so much impressed me. So Krishna is speaking all this knowledge in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter. So all this is called apara prakriti, the inferior potency. But superior to that is the para prakriti. That is the soul. Right? There is another potency. O Madhyam Arjuna should know that my external energy, right, that is called material nature. Right. Whose material nature, Richard? Whose is it? Okay, we'll just answer on Richard's behalf. Whose material nature? Who owns material nature? Whose nature is it? Everything has a cause. You cannot show me anything in the creation which has no cause.
Well, I guess in the materialistic science, they say, give us one free miracle and we'll explain everything. And the free miracle is more Big Bang. So.
But there's so much order in the universe, how that can come from chaos. What existed before the Big Bang? This is all nonsense, no? All nonsense.
Right, good question.
They can't even create a glass of water or a mosquito, and they're trying to tell us the origin of the universe. Right. So there is another part. This is all the inferior nature, apara prakriti, inferior nature. And what are the scientists doing? They're discovering what is already there. Scientists not made anything new. Scientists not invented anything. They just discovered what is already there. Therefore, what is the cause of everything? Has a cause. Right? My watch has a cause. My water bottle has a cause. The building I'm sitting in has a cause. This body has a cause. So what's the cause of all causes? Anyway, so the scientists are busy studying this material nature. But Krishna says there is another potency of mind, the jiva, the soul, which is superior and which accepts this material world for the purpose of enjoying the fruits of his action. Okay, so why the soul comes to the material world, Richard? For the purpose of enjoying. So another name, so today we'll a little bit talk about this, two natures, para and apara. Para means superior, apara means inferior. Therefore, prakriti or material nature cannot function without consciousness. So just like a car cannot do anything without consciousness, without a driver. This body cannot do anything without consciousness, without the presence of the soul. Okay? So to think that material nature is working independent of consciousness, this is one type of madness. So another name of that para prakriti, or the soul, why the soul comes to this material world, Krishna says, for the purpose of enjoying. Okay? So that enjoyment, the desire to enjoy matter, this is the cause of the soul's bondage. Actually, the soul has no relationship with matter at all. But because out of bewilderment, out of illusion or ignorance, the soul identifies himself with his body and wants to enjoy matter. Okay? Therefore, another name of the soul here is jiva. Jiva means life. Atma means self. These are all names of soul in Sanskrit. Atma, self, jiva, life. No? Krishna calls it Paraprakriti, superior nature. Prakriti is feminine, actually. Prakriti is feminine. So we have male and female. Right? So generally, okay, please ask everyone not to get too excited. But there are two things, Purush and Prakriti. Purush means the male aspect, the dominating aspect, the aspect of being the enjoyer. And Prakriti means the feminine nature, no? Whose nature is to be the enjoyed. So David, what are you? Are you male or female? Is David listening? Lavan, okay, I'll ask Lavan. Lavan, are you male or female?
Male.
Huh?
I'm a male.
No.
I'm a
Prakriti is feminine. Prakriti is feminine. So all souls actually have a feminine nature. No? That means they're to be enjoyed. They're not to be the enjoyers. Srila Gogamaj would say sometimes in class, any women here? They would put up their hand. He goes, none of you are women. You're all trying to be men. Means instead of serving and trying to give happiness to Krishna, you have adopted the false male aspect of trying to enjoy and dominate. Okay, Lavan? So, are you male or female?
A female.
Huh? All souls are female. All souls are to be enjoyed. But we have given up that mentality and adopted the opposite, which is Purush. Therefore, our enemy, therefore, is called Purush Bhav, the desire to be the enjoyer, the dominator, the controller. That is called Purush Bhav. That Purush Bhav has to be abandoned if one wants to come to the path of devotion. So instead of being the enjoyer, we want to be the enjoyed. So just Sanskrit is, I'm not a scholar of Sanskrit, but just how much it's very subtle. So that Prakriti, the soul, is conscious. But now desiring to enjoy material nature, they have adopted an opposite nature. Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives a nice example in Jaiva Dharma. The dharma or the nature of water is to be fluid, to be liquid. But if for some reason that water is placed in another environment like a freezer, what happens to the water, Lavan? It freezes, right? That means its nature to be liquid has been lost, it seems. Instead of being liquid, it's taken an opposite nature of being hard. But still, the real nature of water is still present, even when it's in the form of an ice cube. The real nature is still there, only because of some circumstances, some externalities, it's temporarily adopted a foreign nature. Just like water, you place it in the freezer, temporarily, it adopts an opposite nature. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says this is called visarga, apparent transformation. Because the real nature to be liquid is still there. No, the change is not permanent, it's apparent. When you take the ice cube and put it back in room temperature, again it reverts to its original nature. So the original nature is never lost, but it's temporarily transformed. So here, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, the jiva, the soul, the atman, the paraprakriti, the superior nature, temporarily taking on an opposite nature. So instead of thinking I'm the servant, we think we are the masters. Instead of thinking we are the enjoyed, we think we are the enjoyer. Instead of thinking we are the feminine, the prakriti, we think we are the purush. So this mood, I will enjoy, this mood is the cause of all suffering. How's that? Think of that. What we call material happiness, that is actual misery. Right, Lavan? Imagine giving a speech like that. You tell people, think you're mad. What? Material enjoyment is, see, one guy, Rakesh Sharma, he heard that, he quit the class. I'm out of here. I remember when I was first hearing this philosophy, I was in the back of the class and hearing this, you are not the enjoyer, you are the enjoyed, or something similar. And I become afraid, oh my God, this philosophy is death. I remember clearly thinking that. This is death. Please? Everything I'm doing is completely wrong. Completely opposite. And this is called Maya. Maya means that which is not true. That which does not exist. Maya. Actually, Maya means that which can be measured. How tall are you, Lavan? How many kilos? How many kilos are you?
70.
Huh? 70.
Yes, 70, yeah.
I can't hear any. Yeah, don't lie. I know you cut a few there. How tall are we? 10. Where are we from? Sri Lanka, right? Who's my mother and father? This is called Maya, that which can be measured. But the soul is immeasurable. And Krishna is immeasurable. So when the eternal soul, the Prakriti, thinks, I am this world, Atmanam Trigunatmakam, when the soul thinks I am this body made of the three dhatus, bile, mucus, and air, this false feeling, which is not true, is called Maya. That's why very few people adopt this philosophy. Because it's completely opposed to the whole material conception. What is material life? You are this body, and this body is yours to enjoy. When your body enjoys, you enjoy. But this is all false. This is a lie. This is called Maya, illusion. It doesn't exist. The soul can never be an enjoyer. The soul is always a servant. So when the soul, the Paraprakriti, develops attraction and absorption in the inferior Aparaprakriti, that causes suffering. No? There is another potency of mind known as the soul, the jiva, which is superior, but accepts the material world for the purpose of enjoyment. Actually, what relation the soul has with matter? No relation at all. No? But Maya makes us think, I have a relationship. This is my wife, my children, my duty, my responsibilities, etc., etc. Okay? That's why very few people can become devotees. Because you're running against the current of the entire creation. For millions of millions and millions of births, we are doing the same thing. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, trying to enjoy this body. That's why even the process of sadhan bhajan, the process of practice, is very difficult for many people. I heard a nice analogy, just like a space rocket, just like the shuttle. Sundarananda just left as well. The rocket uses so much fuel, so much energy just to try to escape from gravity, from the pull of the earth. So it uses 90% of its energy just to become free from the attraction to the earth. But once it's free from that, then it goes very easily. In the same way, soul has so much attraction to this body and what is related to this body. Okay. So many anathas we have, false conceptions, misconceptions that attract us to this world. So therefore there is such a struggle in the beginning of spiritual life. So Krishna says, verse 6, okay. So the jiva is called tatasta. So tata means bank.
Maharaj,
Yes.
I don't understand when you say the soul has so much attraction to this world. Is it the soul that has the
No.
attraction?
The soul bewildered into thinking he's this body then has so much attraction. Actually, a soul has no relationship with it.
So my identification with these elements, these coverings that you described, and the power of the soul, but it's my identification with these elements that transpire into desire, from where the desire comes.
Right.
Is that correct?
Because some,
And this,
what are the
this-
coverings?
The
The
soul
big cover-
has,
the big covering is false ego. These are one of the subtle coverings, the mind, intelligence, and false ego. False ego means misidentification. The soul is never liberated or in bondage. Soul has no relation with either of these things. But the soul in misconception then has so many problems, so many bondages. Is that your question?
yes,
Who is this anyway?
Krishnamai.
Ah, I thought so. But anyway, we're using language. Language has some defect. So one more thing we'll talk about. Another name of the jiva, Krishna giving many names here. Paraprakriti, Atma, Jiva, English, we just have soul. But another name is the Tatasta. Tata means bank, not like Bank of America or Wells Fargo or something. Bank like bank of a river, the bank of the ocean. So that line which demarcates, the demarcation zone between the earth and the water, that demarcation zone is called the Tatasta. So soul comes from that potency of Krishna. Means we can live in the material world, we can live in the spiritual world. And because of misidentification, we have come here. Okay. The jiva has the capacity to understand and move in either the transcendental world, which is Krishna's internal energy, or the inert material world, which is emanated from my external energy. For this reason, the Jiva Shakti is also called the Tatasta Shakti. Okay. Srila Gogmaj would give an example. Many examples they give so we can understand something. There was a lion. What example he gave? There was a lion, right? Like a tiger cub. So he was separated from his parents at birth. So he was adopted by some dogs. Sometimes you see. So because of association, he had forgotten his nature as a tiger and was thinking he was a dog. Gogamaj would tell this story. So one day there was a farmer in the field and he saw this huge tiger coming towards him. Then the farmer became very afraid. Then what happened? The lion, the tiger, began barking at him. Arf, arf. So Gogamaj gave that funny story. This example of the soul, because of material affiliation, material identification, then thinking he belongs to this world, and therefore becomes attracted to it. But that attraction is not real. It's a misconception. It does not exist. Okay? Therefore called Maya. The so-called bondage of the soul is not real, because soul has no attraction towards matter, because soul is a superior potency. Okay, so Krishna says, know that all created beings have been born from these two natures of mine. What two natures? the conscious and the unconscious, right? The material and the spiritual. So everything in creation emanates from these two prakritis, right? The material nature and the spiritual nature. So both the inferior Maya Shakti and the superior Apara Shakti, the jivas, both are Krishna's energies. They both come from me, Krishna says. Therefore, Krishna is the cause of both, the origin of both. Okay, famous verses. Mata paratanam nadat kinchidasti dhananjaya. Mai sarvamidam pratam sutra mani gunava. Therefore, everything we see conscious or unconscious, where does it come from, Richard? I'll give you a hint. It begins with K, and ends with Rishna. Right? Everything, material and spiritual, where does it come from? What's the origin and the cause? Richard, for 10 bhakti points.
No. So God, basically.
Yeah, you can say his name. It's all right. You won't die.
Right, Krishna.
Thank you.
But
Because
I have
Krishna explaining about himself. I am that person. I am the cause. So to say God is not very nice, no? It's
okay,
not-
you're saying that's too general, you're saying.
Yeah, but general is not specific enough. We want to be specific, otherwise Bhagavad Gita has no value. So Krishna pointing to himself, I'm the cause of everything
Or
material.
like Radha or
And everything
Lakshmi or Vishnu, but because those are
Richard,
expanded from Krishna.
You're confusing yourself. Krishna is the source of Vishnu also. Otherwise, he would not say everything material, everything spiritual comes from me, Krishna says. That means who is the source of all the other incarnations? Come on, hit me with it.
Oh, Krishna.
Right. That is Bhagavad Gita, right? Sometimes Madhusudan Maharaj says, Krishna have to preach about himself. Bhagavad Gita is Krishna preaching about himself because everything began from him, so the preaching movement also began from him. He is the source of everything. He is the source of all knowledge. So this knowledge, Krishna preaching about himself. Krishna explaining about himself. Okay?
But Krishna had all these expansions to, I guess this would be the boredom principle, that Krishna wanted to create, have creation and create all the souls, well, to enjoy them, I guess is what you're saying, correct?
Yep. The one envious of Krishna, he cannot accept any of this. Why Krishna should enjoy everything? What's left for me? Purushottam's thinking. This is not fair. How come he's numero uno? How come everything's for him? This is a rubbish philosophy. Therefore, one of the qualifications that Krishna spoke this 7th chapter, Arjuna, I'm explaining why you are my friend and not envious of Krishna. Right? That is Arjuna's qualification. So who can understand this Bhagavad Tattva? One who is not jealous of Krishna. Right? I know for years experience. Right? It happens no matter where you go, which audience, anywhere in the world, doesn't matter. You've got 5 days, right? So the first day you just speak about reincarnation and the soul, and everyone's completely happy. Everyone accepts everything, right? Then you start, but as soon as you mention this point, Krishna is the enjoyer. He is the one and only enjoyer. And everyone else is to be enjoyed by him. 3/4 of the people never come back. So one of the qualifications, one should not be envious of Krishna. Niramatsana, who can accept Niramatsaranam Satam? Satam means true, truth. Who can accept this? Those who Niramatsa. Matsa means envy. So those hearts whose those persons whose hearts are purified from envy, they can accept all this. Those people who are envious, no, why Krishna should get everything? This is not fair. Sniff, sniff. Out of envy, they reject this. And what happens? They go back into the cycle of birth and death. So everything comes from him. Everything is his property. So what happens,
Right,
Richard,
nothing-
if you take something without the owner's permission?
Well, right, nothing can be, it's impossible. It's completely impossible to be outside of Krishna. It's just not. Like you could say, I guess another idea is the universe is really made out of one particle, Krishna, and he's moving at infinite speed. So
Richard, you got to stop reading all this stuff, you know? It's making me crazy. Krishna's not a particle, he's a person.
Well, right. Well, I mean, for
Nothing
us
is
logical
separate from him.
materialist thinkers,
Nothing is separate from him. In simple language, everything is his. But out of illusion, you steal something and think, I will enjoy this separate from Krishna. That's a criminal activity, right? Therefore, the material world is called Durga. Durga means prison house. Who's in the prison house? Those who have a mentality of separateness from Krishna.
Oh, okay, but that's a different. But if Krishna created this universe, at least in if we're going into the Christian philosophy.
No, we're
there's
not
a-
going there. We're going to stick to Krishna. Stick to Bhagavad
Okay.
Gita.
Okay. 'cause
Anyway,
it's
all
a-
religions have the same essence. Everything belongs to God. But in Christianity, the idea is God is so kind, he gave us all these things to enjoy. That's the deviant mentality. Oh, look, Bill Gates is so nice. He left his car open and it's all for me. No, it doesn't work like that. So the souls who are envious of Krishna, who do not want to be servants, who want to be masters, who want to be enjoyers, they become bewildered, become covered by the inferior potency. And they take birth and death in the material world. But the souls who are not envious of Krishna's position as being the enjoyer, they take shelter of the supreme potency, the internal potency. They become free from birth and death. But anyway, whatever way you want to look at it, everything comes from Krishna. Everything conscious, everything unconscious. Everything comes from him. Everything good and everything so-called good, everything so-called bad. Even ignorance comes from him. In Christianity, they have a philosophy of evil and ignorance being separate from God, but we do not accept that. Everything comes from God, therefore ignorance is also his creation. That is called the apara prakriti, the inferior potency. Okay, so Krishna says, Mata paratanam nadat kinchidasti Dhananjaya. Oh, one name of Arjuna, Dhananjaya. Arjuna has 12 names. Okay, do I have to tell them all? When Arjuna was in hiding for 1 year, Arjuna was dressed as a eunuch. I guess you'd call transgender these days, you would call. So he volunteered to drive Uttarat, Nandan, the son of the prince. Arjuna volunteered to drive him into battle. Later on, the boy was afraid when he saw the army of the Kurus. I will not fight. I can't. Especially the Kurus were like blowing their conch shells and pulling the strings of their bows. The boy was almost unconscious in fear. So Arjuna said, okay, you drive the chariot and I will fight. Then you could imagine the boy, come on, not possible. No, I am Arjuna. Then to test him, he said, okay, tell me the 12 names of Arjuna. If you think you are Arjuna, tell me his 12 names. So one name of Arjuna is Dhananjaya. Because when his brother Yudhisthira wanted to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice, Then they had to conquer the kings of the entire earth planet to bring the wealth for the sacrifice. So Arjuna did that, therefore he's called Dhananjaya. Dhananjaya means what? Dhananjaya. What's the translation? Conqueror of riches. Because Arjuna brought so much wealth. You can read a little bit about the Yagya of Yudhisthira. Whenever all the guests came, everyone was given a new mansion. No second-hand mansions. Everyone was given new facilities, new beds, new everything, new cloth, new furniture. Everyone would eat off gold utensils, use it once and throw it. So imagine how much wealth they need for this sacrifice. There is nothing superior to me. The whole creation is dependent on me like jewels strung upon a thread, like you have a necklace. Right? The jewels of the necklace may look wonderful, but what's the resting place? What's the shelter? What's keeping everything in line? What's controlling everything? The thread. Right? If you break a thread on a necklace, what happens, Lavan? Everything just goes here and there. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj would say religion means proper adjustment. We are not rejecting anything, but we insist on everything being seen in proper perspective. Right? All the demigods, Brahma, Shiva, Ganesh, Indra, we cannot reject them. They're also part of the creation. But religion means we should properly know, properly adjust everything. Who belongs where? Like Laban in your family, there's a difference, right? Between Laban and his father, between your sister and your mother, right? These are just material examples. But if you start putting your sister where your wife is, and everything becomes chaotic, everything becomes confused. So everything has its place. We are not rejecting anything, but we insist everything must be put in its proper position. That is harmony. So everything, we are not rejectors of material, the material creation. We're not actually rejectors of anything, but we see everything in relationship to Krishna's service. That is the perfect vision. And to see anything as separate from Krishna, that is called illusion. And the result of that illusion is fear. Boyam abhajayat itiyes tvam bhaktyekisham guru devatmana. So the Trivika Maharaj would explain this. One day one lady came to see him. And Maharaj would explain to her she had a child. Maharaj said, before you were married, you had no fear. But as soon as you accepted a husband, fear came in your life. Fear, what if some other lady takes him away? Fear, what if my husband dies, right? And then child came, then more fear came. So as soon as we see anything as separate from Krishna, that is called illusion. And the byproduct of illusion is fear. My watch, my computer, my position, my respect, my temple, right? My wife, my dog, my country, my religion, my caste. So to see anything separate, that is called illusion. Like all jewels is like the material creation. And every religion has some aspect, some truth. But we should remember everything rests where? What's keeping everything in order? What's the resting place of all the jewels in the necklace? That is the thread. And Krishna says, I am that thread. The whole like in Islam, they just had their month of Ramadan. Too much enthusiasm. It's quite, here we're surrounded by mosques. They're shouting. When you wake up, you can hear them buzzing around in Ramadan. So Guru Maharaj said, Allah, which is the object of worship of the Muslims. What is Allah? Allah means impersonal Brahman. That is one aspect of Krishna. But we forget Krishna and we worship the Brahman, that will be a fault. The demigods are there. But we forget what relation they have with Krishna, then comes confusion, then comes bewilderment. Mystic powers, heavenly planets, whatever attainment is there, we have to see it in relation to Krishna. That is perfect vision. So Krishna gives us now. Any questions does anyone have? Let's see there, who's in the participants. See, where's Amy from? Amy Heimbecker. Where are you from? How come whenever I ask, no one ever answers? Maybe everyone just turns on their microphone.
Hare
Okay,
Krishna
Vyasadeva.
Maharaj. I'm in Oregon.
Oh, okay. I was hearing about you. Right. Okay. You have any questions?
Not really, not right now.
Okay. Like in one story I might tell, because we're already talking about Yudhisthira Maharaj's yagya. So not just in Vedic culture, but any culture, we give respect to the greatest person. Like just say Donald Trump was there in the class, you give him a special seat, right? Okay, just say yes, Radhika, right? Anyway, we have to respect people according to their position. So when the sacrifice of Yudhisthira Maharaj was there, then actually all the demigods had come for that also. Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Ganesh, sun god, moon god, all the devatas, Saturn, Mars, everyone was there. Because it was such a special occasion. So before the yajna began, before the sacrifice began, the topmost person should be worshipped. So everyone with question came, well, who's the topmost personality? Right? So many great saints were there. Even for argument's sake, you can say Jesus or, just imagine anyone who has some position was there. Narad was there. Everyone was there. Vyasadeva was there. Parasuram was there. Narad's guru was there. So question came, so many brahmanas were there, so many great kings were there, Yudhisthira Maharaj himself was there, Ganesh was there. So generally before any worship is done, in Hindu society, they worship Ganesh first, right? Because Ganesh, he's the presiding deity of wealth, love, and shubh, auspiciousness. Everyone wants wealth and auspiciousness. He's also the remover of obstacles. Anyway, many reasons. In general puja, general worship, Ganesh is worshipped first. But when Krishna was personally present, then Ganesh never came forward to accept the worship. If Krishna is not there, then Ganesh take that position like a representative. Just like a bad example. Imagine our Krishna Balaram temple. So normally the garland comes to Damodar Maharaj or Madhusudana Maharaj, right? But if Gurudev was there, the garland would go first to who? Radhika. To Gurudev, because Gurudev is there.
Gurudev.
Right? Doesn't matter who's there, Didi Maharaj, anyone. If Gurudev is there, the garland will go first to Gurudev. But if Gurudev is not there, then you can think, okay, Damodar Maharaj or anyone, because like Gurudev's representative. So when Krishna is personally present, then Ganesh has no right to come forward to take that worship. He stayed in the background. So anyway, that's a big thing. Many people think, who is the best object of worship? Who is the highest? Many people have their opinions in this world. Some say Donald Trump's the highest. Some say Vladimir Putin. Everyone has their opinion. That opinion is like elbows. Everyone has them. So Sahadev, he was the brother of Arjuna. He was considered the most intelligent of the Pandits. So Sahadev, he stepped forward and he proclaimed Krishna, of course. Because whatever thing you see in the creation comes from where? Just like this cloth, right? It's made of threads going this way and that way. This creation is made of two things, cause and effect. Nothing else. So this whole cloth is made of one thread, right? Just some bits going that way, some bits going that way. So Sahadev said, whatever you see in the creation is come from what's the source of it all? That is the one thread, that is Krishna. So no one have any right to take worship while Krishna is there. With this understanding, Mata Paratanonat Kinchilat Tijananja, Mai Sarvamidam Potam Sutre Mani Ganaiva. O Arjuna, understand everything rests upon me, like pearl rests upon a thread. Therefore, there is no one, nothing superior to Krishna, nothing equal to him. Okay, so with this understanding, we can hear Bhagavad Gita. Okay, I remember when I was new devotee, then this is the first verse I learned. Actually, I came with my brother. For some reason, the sannyasi we went to visit, he told us this verse and told us to learn. It means how Krishna in everything. Rasoham apsukunteya. I am the tasted water. Prabhasmi sasi suryo. I am the light of the sun and the moon. Pranava sarva vedishu. I am Om in the Vedic literatures. Sabdake purusham vishu. I am the sound and ether, the ability in man. So we'll talk about all that later. Does anyone have any questions?
I just want to invite Orlin, if you want to type a question. His microphone doesn't work and he's new, but if you or anybody else wants to type a question, feel free to type.
Okay, so yes, if someone wants to, yesterday was Akshay Tritiya. Okay, the day before was Vrindavan, but yesterday was here in Mayapur. Vyasadev, your mother has any questions?
Yeah, she said she does.
Okay, yes.
Yep.
If we're supposed to be the enjoyed, but we come here wanting to enjoy, but I have not found any enjoyment here at all. So what is to do now? I chant, what is to do?
Enjoyment is there in serving Krishna. Yes, we want happiness. No?
Yes.
We want happiness. So that happiness can be found in serving, satisfying Krishna. No? Just like when we when we put water on the root of a tree, the whole tree becomes happy, right?
Yes.
There's no need to water individually every branch and flower. So when Krishna is satisfied, who's the root, who's the cause of all causes, when he is satisfied, then we'll become happy. We'll become satisfied automatically. Are you chanting Harinam a little bit?
Yeah, I do rounds. I do my rounds every day.
Okay. Doing Ekadasi?
Yes, I do Ekadasi.
Wow,
Yes.
then good for you. When are you going to come to Vrindavan?
I don't know. I got invited to Mayapur a couple years ago, it didn't happen.
Okay, sell your son's kidney and come.
Let's go.
Try and come this year. Of course, this year is a little troublesome.
Yeah.
Get a chance, come for a month. Especially in October, we have Kartik month. I think it's October 25th. 1 month festival. What's your name?
Melissa. I have not taken initiation, but I've been chanting for a long time, like 30 years.
Wow. If you come in Kartik, then your life will change. Your life will become good.
Be purified, I'm sure.
Purified means happy.
Yes.
So Guru Maharaj said, like a dog who chases, everyone's trying to be happy, but why is no one happy? Like a dog chases his tail, he never gets it, right?
Yes.
But as soon as the dog ignores his tail and walks away, as soon as the dog walks away from his tail, what happens? His tail follows him. If you chase your shadow, you can never catch it. As soon as you walk away from your shadow, the shadow follows you. So Gurudev would say that person who gives up all desire for their own happiness and just tries to serve Krishna, all happiness follows them. Beautiful explanation.
Thank you.
Yes. We cannot say there's no pleasure, but the pleasure comes in serving Krishna. But actually, devotees so high, they don't even think that. They're not even worried about their own happiness. They're not thinking, I will serve Krishna and become happy. But happiness runs behind them.
Yes.
Anything else from anyone?
Yes, Gurudev, if I can ask a question, it's Purushottam.
Yes, speak
Can you
up.
hear me? You know, you were talking that the soul misidentifies itself, and that's why we're here. But at that region, the Tatastha region, does the misidentification comes from false ego, right? So that's subtle body. So does that mean at the Tatastha region we have a subtle body?
At Tatastha, there's no material elements there, no touch of the material creation. But as soon as he desires to enjoy, the material energy to enjoy it, then covered by the material.
So good. The connection went.
The Tatastha is a neutral place. The Tatastha is a neutral place. Therefore, there's no energy of Krishna's service. Neither is there any influence. But as soon as it's to enjoy separately, covering is the chitta. Chitta means material identification. Then comes false ego. Then comes intelligence. Then mind. Whether he becomes captured by the material ingredients. Right?
How can there be the desire to enjoy separately from Krishna?
Well, you just look at it, it's all right, we become caught. The desire to enjoy. This is the cause of the soul's fall down into material existence. So the desire to enjoy is the cause of all suffering.
Where does this desire come from, though?
Own self, own free will. Can't blame anyone else for it.
I know, but the soul has no relationship with matter, right? So then
can desire. Yeah. Purushottam has no girlfriend but desires. Right? Desire is there. No one can check desire. Why are we not having so much desire to serve Radha and Krishna? Why do we have so many other desires? Who's to blame for that?
Okay.
And blame Maya. Own self, cause of own suffering. Own self, cause of own bondage. No one else to blame. Is there anyone else have any questions?
Hare Krishna, Gurudev, Dandavat Pranams. Madhavi has questions.
What question? I want to say first, so I forget. Yesterday was Akshay Tritiya. Okay. The first day of creation when Lord Brahma created his world. Also when Brahma received the spiritual knowledge from the anniversary of that. So it's the anniversary of the creation of the universe. Brahma is receiving the Vedic knowledge. Therefore, Akshay means that which cannot be broken, that which is eternal, that which cannot be destroyed. Akshay means destroyed. Akshay means that which cannot be destroyed. So this Vedic knowledge never destroyed. You know? Also, it's the appearance day of Parasuram. They tried to make Draupadi without cloth, and Krishna provided unlimited cloth to protect No, Draupadi's chastity. Akshay means unlimited. So Krishna gave unlimited cloth to protect Draupadi on this day. Also, when Yudhisthira went to the forest, many brahmanas followed him. So Yudhisthira Maharaj felt very bad. All these saintly persons are with me, I cannot serve them. The sun god, who gave him an unlimited plate. It's unlimited. That means from this plate would never be finished until Draupadi ate and washed the pot and put it upside down for the day. So this day, many, many, many things happened. So it was a special time for all devotees. It said anything you undertake on Akshaya Tritiya, that will always be successful. So it's better late than never, but everyone should try to make some determination, some promise. I will do this year, I will do this without fail. Then that can be successful. Okay, we've lost her on the internet. Everyone, thank you very much. Is one week, is one class? Oh,
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I wanted, hi, Hare Krishna, this is Anupama. I wanted to say a little bit organizational moments. So here in the chat room of our Zoom class, I sent the links for our groups in WhatsApp.
Anupama, she wants to do monthly meeting. Okay.
Sorry for that.
Okay, Anupama. Vyasadev, where you live?
Northern California.
Oh, cool. So yeah, my
Far
idea
away.
was.
But anyway, where do you live? Speak loudly.
I live in Santa Cruz, in California. So my intention was to gather devotees from California at least for some kind of retreat, maybe within a month, like for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for 3 days. And Gurudev, I hope he will give us katha twice a day, morning and evening. Yeah, and we'll share it. We'll share it through Zoom link for everyone. But I would like to gather some devotees, whoever can come in my place. So please join these links in WhatsApp, Telegram, and Signal, or whatever you prefer. And I'll send all the details there. Yeah, and also those groups will, Maheshwari, she will send the links for the new Zoom classes. For
like Brajeshri, her husband, Satyavraj.
Yeah.
Pounds, Richard, maybe Vyasadev, maybe he lives a bit far north. Jagannath, there's quite a few devotees who live near. Do a 3-day retreat. So anyone who's interested can contact her, right? And she's going to make a little WhatsApp group. Interested, just add your info there. Okay, coming up is Nrsingadev's appearance day in 9 days, right? So we should say we'll do some live class then. Okay, last chance for questions.
Maharaj, I wanted to ask about
who's this?
Vyasadev Das.
Okay.
I wanted to ask about how the transcendental world exists inside of Krishna's internal potency, and kind of like how, I know it's kind of broad, but like how that works. So obviously we have to like go internal, right? But are we accessing our like little Vishnu inside of our hearts to like enter into that space, or
Krishna's is right. Krishna has three main energies. The external potency, Maya, which creates the material. The Antaranga Shakti, the Chit Shakti, which produces the spiritual world. In the middle of two of them, that is the Tatastha. So the jiva is like a fish swimming between two banks of a river. He can see one bank, the material world, the material creation, and can see the spiritual world, but has no realization of it. Right? So the soul can reside in the material world or the spiritual world. Right? Is this your question? So now we've come to the material world, we've forgotten our identity.
Mm-hmm. So I've heard this.
Elder of Guru by Goshen. Yes?
I've heard this term from some Vaishnavas that some of our spiritual teachers have one foot inside of the spiritual world and then one foot inside of this world. And
there are three levels of oh, sorry, keep going. Yes.
So like some of these teachers like Bhaktivedanta Swami or Narayana Maharaj would have one foot inside of the spiritual world and one foot in this world, so to speak. And I just want to understand.
No. There's three levels of devotees. The Kanishta, the neophyte, the beginning guy, the Madhyamadikari, the middle class devotee, and the Uttamadikari, the topmost devotee. So the Uttamadikari has both feet in the spiritual world. Right? They're in this world, but actually they have no relation with it. They're fully absorbed in their spiritual identity. They're fully absorbed in service to Krishna. Right? The beginning devotee has both feet in this world. Right? He's a little bit looking up. But the middle class devotee, he has a foot in this world and a foot in that world. So middle class devotee can help us a lot because they have relation to both. They understand Krishna's service. They also understand our position. That's the answer to your question? Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, like Gurudev, they're fully absorbed. We cannot understand how they're fully absorbed in Krishna's service. They don't even know when they take birth. They don't even know when they die. That's how much they're absorbed. They're eating, sleeping, they're talking with us, everything just like a machine. But they're fully absorbed in Krishna's service. We cannot understand their position because we're not like them, no? Therefore, we often misunderstand. That's okay?
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
So from Krishna and the sound of the flute, it travels, it's transcendental sound vibration that travels to and through, like, so there's Krishna and then there's his expansion is Baladev, and then Baladev is Baladev Mahavishnu, and then is
Baladev's expansion in this world is Mahavishnu.
Okay, so from Mahavishnu we have the innumerable universes, and inside of those universes we have Garbhodakshay Vishnu. So is the so and then from Garbhodakshay Vishnu there's the separation, and then there's Brahma, right? So and then Brahma he's created the material conception, but when we look out and up to the stars, whatever, like that's just like we're looking at the material, right? And it's so far from Mahavishnu. So like I guess my question would be how do we, like, is Mahavishnu up there, but is he just so far up there that it's hard to see, so we have to go inside?
Cool.
Right? The material universe is like a little egg. Right? So we're inside the egg, but Mahavishnu is outside the egg. Does that answer your question?
So.
You still alive yesterday? Where? Right, we look up and we see the stars. That's the material creation. But Mahavishnu is way beyond that. He's beyond the material universes, right? Because the universes come from him. So he's way beyond the material creation. He's situated in the creation, but he's way far beyond it. But we are not too much interested in Mahavishnu. By the grace of the Guru Parampara and chanting Mahamantra, we can reach to Krishna directly.
Well, I ask this because the internal potency that we're trying to reach, because we're trying to reach the transcendental world, right? To serve, well, we're trying to serve Krishna, but in doing
that is all revealed by devotion. Transcendental means devotion transcends everything material. So even in this world, you can perceive the spiritual world. That is the power of devotion. Okay? There's no need to go through Mahavishnu or Balarama or anyone else. Okay, that is the power of Mahamantra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu give example, like a seed, you water it, it goes up. So this is like the seed of creeper of devotion. So when the devotee receives the seed of the desire to serve Krishna by hearing about Krishna, then he waters that seed by hearing the holy name and chanting the holy names. Then that kripa pierces the coverings of the universe. Gradually he becomes free from all desire. And that kripa crosses the Brahmajyoti and crosses Vaikuntha, enters Goloka Vrindavan, takes shelter at the feet of Krishna directly. That means the devotee can be in the material world, but have full vision, have full understanding of Krishna's service, even from here. That is the power of the Guru Parampara. That is the power of devotion.
So is this internal, like this is all internal, and is this done through the little Vishnu inside of us?
He has nothing to do with it. So beyond him also.
Really?
He also have greed for that, you know. Vishnu also have desire. When can I see Krishna? Krishna's incarnations.
Sorry,
okay,
I lost
what's
you.
your mother's name again?
Melissa.
What was your mother's name?
Melissa.
Okay, something's happening. I better leave now.
Melissa.
Fine.
Okay.